Welcome, Chris Upman's Radio. Little Dave and I are back, but today we have his training partner, Zach. How you doing, man?
Good, you?
We're doing extremely well. Today was an off day for me, as it was for Dave. Did you have to train or no?
Yep.
Nope, off day with Dave
Oh,
today.
heck yeah, heck yeah, heck yeah. Um, let's start here. Why don't you just give us a little background, like what you do for a living, and then your like introduction into bodybuilding and where you currently are in terms of like competitions and things.
Want to go ahead, Dave? Or is that me or Dave?
For you.
Oh, for me.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, so what I do for a living, I work in law enforcement in Salt Lake City, Utah. I've been bodybuilding for a while. Let's see, I did my first show in 2016. I've done, I think, 12 shows now. Um, I've had quite the break off lately. I haven't competed. 2021, I did USA's. Family life. I had a third kid we were trying for, so family life kind of took over, and I've had quite the long break over the last couple years. So as of right now, I don't really have any plans. I have a little ways back I got to go, but I would like to hopefully within this next year or so, maybe next summer, get back to it.
Oh yeah, man.
So that's
Yeah.
the
Did Ronnie Coleman inspire you to be a police officer?
I wish I could say that, but no, it's always been something on my mind. But
Yeah.
that'll be an inspiration to get back, guys, for sure.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I've worked with a lot of cops. Like, is your schedule like rotating where it's like 7 to 7, AM to PM, and then PM to AM, or do you have a more routine?
So I'm on. Yeah, I'll be on. We don't really rotate like that. Like I know that I'll be on a Grave schedule for probably. I mean, I'll probably be on Graves for the next 2 years or so. So,
Okay.
every 6 months we will rebid for and choose a different schedule and stuff. But I know that I'll be on the same schedule. Right now I work 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. So it works out. And with Dave's training time, he usually trains at 11:30 or 11:30 a.m. or 5:30 p.m. So on my days off, I can make 11:30 easy, and all the other days 5:30. I'm like good with me because I just train and then go straight to work after that. So it works out pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
How did you guys start getting to train together?
So
Just randomly see each other, or
Uh,
yeah,
well,
go ahead.
I know we've known each other for a while, but we always trained at different sides of Utah, basically.
right?
Mm.
I know I was, well, I don't remember what show was I getting ready for, and we just decided we're like, do you want to train together today?
Yeah, we were. So it's funny because I've never actually like it wasn't until like I think it was the show. Was it the June show I did in 20? Let's see. Yeah, the June show I did in
Yeah,
2021. I think where I really met you at that show.
yeah,
Like briefly, I like said hey or what's up or whatever. And then I think it was the show after that in Utah. You were working a booth at or something, and I walk over and hey, you're competing soon, right? And I don't know, it just kind of lined up because I trained with my old coach Jeff. I trained with him for years, and his schedule changed, and then kind of both my other training partners fell off like recently before that, so it was just kind of lined up perfect. And I was like, hey, dude, want to get a session this week? And then I trained with him once. I'm like, hey, dude, this is fun. I was like, do you want to keep doing this? So yeah, it worked out good. It's been a lot of fun.
yeah. It's been working out really well. Um, Zach's like probably one of the best training partners I've had, like consistently wise.
Right.
Like he doesn't really make any excuse on why he can't make anything. Like he didn't trade with me the entire time he went through the police academy. So he would go to the police academy in the AM and then get off and train legs with me in the PM.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like
I'll
zero excuses there.
there's definitely been some missed training sessions over the last year while switching careers and stuff, but um, yeah, I try to do my best as long as our schedules align. We usually make it happen, and it's been a lot of fun. I definitely I don't know. It's funny because every training partner I've had, like the first training partner, I was like, wow, I was like, this is like a new level of training. The second training partner, I was like, oh, this is a new level of training. I was like, and then I found Dave. I'm like, oh fuck, this is like this is the level that you should be. So I was like, it's been a lot of fun. I think people people really don't get a full scale of what training is like until you've trained with multiple people and like the different levels and stuff. It's like you really realize like, there's that extra step, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Was it
So
like instantly the first session you guys had together? You just knew like that this is gonna work?
it really was like literally like right after that session, I remember because I just started training with another kid at this new gym I was going to, and I've been training. I trained with him for like 2 weeks before I had that session with Dave, and we literally finished that session. I was like, "Hey, dude, what's your schedule like?" I was like, "Do you want to just like keep doing this?" And it just like it was funny because we plan on just training that one session. Then after that, we just trained every session. So it was like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the way when the first time he came in, it was just like this is it. Like if I could train with him every day, I would. No
Yeah,
question asked. Like it's just too much fucking fun, you know?
right.
Like,
Yeah,
because it's very sadly in this what I want to say era that we're currently in, like everyone's so scared to overtrain or oh, I'm trying to think. They're scared of their own damn shadow, right? And it's like,
mm,
Yeah.
hey, or they're so glued to that damn logbook that they can't get out of there and taking notes. And I'm like, can we just put the logbook down and just fucking get it? Like, there doesn't have to be a lot of thought into this. Like, you want to train back? Hell yeah. Let's do a bunch of pull downs and rows until someone throws up in the trash can or can't walk right. Okay, cool.
right, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, it just speaks for itself because I think in all the years I've trained, I've thrown up once in the gym before, and
Mhm.
then ever since I met Dave, like it's literally at least every other leg day and sometimes back days. So I mean, we're fucking throwing up. So it's we have some gnarly sessions for sure. I love it. But
Yeah.
Yeah, he
and
always tells me he's like, God, Zach humbles me with deadlifts. It's always like, oh, let's add a plate for Zach. It's top set or two.
I, I have to get him where I can because he gets me in all the pressing movements, and I can get him in squats and deadlifts, and that's about it. Those two movements that I can get him, I got to.
You know what's really funny is that's what I was telling Danny this week. I was like, I used to be able to press what Dave does, and now I'm not even fucking sniffing that shit.
Right. Yeah, and that's what makes me even the most excited to get back because I mean, when I was prepping for USA's in 2021, I was putting up those type of numbers and stuff, and I've yet like when me and Dave first started training, we were close. He was still ahead of me, but I mean, I haven't been on any supplements for 3 years now, so it's like it's slowly the pressing I think has taken the biggest hit. So
Right.
those squats and deadlifts, I don't know, my body just clicks with those ones. But
Yep.
yeah, that makes me excited to get back to it because I'd love to have a good off season with him. 'Cause I've yet to have a solid off season at the same time as him. It'd be a lot of fun.
So you know what's interesting, right? Is you touched on something really huge there. You've been off for 3 years, and you're still training with them, right?
Yeah.
And not saying, oh, I need less volume or less intensity or like that goes back to what I just said. To me, at least, is that mindset of these new kids where it's like, oh, well, I'm not on right now. I can't train hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah. No, you definitely feel it, but I mean,
Yes. Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
I don't know, it's not too much. I mean, I mean, I have these little nagging things here and there. I mean, but it's not like I'm recovering from them. I'm still good for the next session. It's you can definitely feel. I mean, training is definitely a little different, but it's not. You don't have to scale back. I don't believe that at all.
I mean,
I
because
think in all reality, you just have to be smarter with it.
yes.
Yeah.
Like it's not scaling back, but it's like, okay, we're not going to do two hinging motions on our back day.
Mm,
We're going to do one. You know, that's what I mean by not scaling back, but just being smart.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
one of those is we'll make one of them chest supported. But that's it. I'm not saying anything else changed, but
Mm,
like being a little bit more smart and like just making sure recovery is managed really well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on kind of not the same boat, but like in the right now currently I'm dieting and not on supplements, and it's like nothing really changes. It's just a matter of dealing with the recovery side of things a little bit more.
yeah.
Yeah. I bet Zach, like you're so probably hyper in tune to like you don't miss meals because you know you can't afford to.
Uh,
Maybe not.
I would love to say that.
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
The money, family. What I mean, I can say all these excuses, but in reality, I mean, it's the change of career. Like everything's just
Yeah.
on top of like the same time I changed careers. I lost the coach that I was with forever, and things have definitely been really wacky, and um, I I haven't had a really good structure in quite a while. Like I just kind of try to get pro. Like I mean, I try to do my best, but it's I definitely need a structure, right? I mean, when I can, I need to get a good coach, and I need to get that structure back, and that's going to be the biggest thing of before I look into doing the supplements and stuff. I gotta that's gotta be priority first. I gotta get a coach and start that back up, but because the structure definitely hasn't been there like it should. But I mean, I've definitely lost a lot of size, but if I wasn't training with Dave and trying to keep up with him, I would lost a lot more size. So that's been really good. The just having that to chase has helped me a lot, but
Yep.
yeah, I
That
gotta
speaks
get.
to your mental fortitude, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I can't tell you how many people I've seen in the same situation what wouldn't be training at all.
Yeah.
And they would just they in 20 years they'd be talking about what they wish they would have done. Where staying on in that right area may not be 100%, but shit, you know, anywhere in the right direction is a lot better than zero. You know what I mean? Especially like in reality, Zach just turned his life completely like 180. He was working, now he's working a different job, different career. Has 3 kids. Just a new one, like what, like three? That's like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks
Mhm.
ago.
Yep.
Like, so
Yes.
like that's pretty remarkable in its own being.
Yeah. Yeah. I was
Yeah, but
stupid as hell, and I had a kid. We had a son, and then I prepped for a show like right afterwards, and that was a horrible idea. In the time, I thought it was a great idea. My wife told me I was a moron. So,
yeah, I think about that often. My second kid, was we had so I had my second kid November of 2020, and then I started prep January 2021 for USA's. So he was only 2 months old, and I prepped from January to July, and I have a lot of regrets about that. I mean, I wasn't there mentally for them, um but I also have regrets of not continuing after that too, because even though family comes first, right? I don't know how to say this. I've talked about this a lot. I just had this conversation
Yep.
with I just had a conversation with Dave the other day. I mean, family comes first, but also I'm a little I definitely have regrets from pushing bodybuilding to the side the last 3 years, because fuck, dude. I mean, I took my first national show at junior nationals. I took the class and was in the overall. Then I went to USA's next month and sixth place out of 25 guys. And I was like, man, if I just would have had one more good off season and went back to in 2022, who knows? Um, so yeah, I have a lot of regrets, but I mean, you can't change that, right? So that's why I need to pull the trigger and just get back on it, because um, it's time.
it's one of
So
those things, right? Like, I think you nailed that very articulately. Was Yeah, family definitely comes first, but like that inner fucking demon, or at least in my chest, like I can't put that thing to bed yet. Like it's not done. Like
yeah, right.
there's something about like just in the depth of a prep that Dave's about to get into, that when I'm not in it, like I crave that shit. Like I want to feel hungry. I want to feel like my legs are heavy, and you get on that stairmaster and you walk because you don't want to, and you do training sessions and the weight scares you because you think your shoulder might bust off. And then you get on stage and like, oh fuck yeah, like this is the best I've ever looked. It was miserable, and I know everyone around me wasn't willing to do what I was in that singular moment. That's a cool feeling, and it's very empowering. So I very much share that, because I mean we have two boys, and obviously I have a wife and a house and all that stuff and a business to manage, and like there's just sometimes like that need to just turn into an athlete again feels good. So I get that. I mean that's what you said. I'm sure you feel the same way, Dave, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
there'd be times where it'd be easy to be no to this, but Also, that little guy inside of me would said yes to this, 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's it made me laugh. The thing you said about the legs feeling heavy and going on the Stairmaster, it's like no matter how many times like you try to explain that to someone, no one, I mean, people that have not prepped, like you try to explain that feeling of heavy legs, it's just so funny. Like I remember times during prep, I'm sitting on the couch and I have to pee. I'm like, oh, dude, I don't even want to walk to the bathroom right now. It's like it's so funny. But that feeling, I mean, when you're on stage and you don't know how good you look until, I mean, you get off from prejudging and you look at your pictures, you're like, Jesus, dude, like that's like the best feeling ever.
Yeah, because I think so many in this new era are so they're like, oh man, that was a hell of a 12 weeks. But I think the way we were taught was like, that's a culmination of our bodybuilding career. Like from day one, took us to this moment right here, right? Like all those sessions, all those meals, all those times where you like had to say no thank you to brownies and all that bullshit, right? Like to me, it's all of that stuff that just adds up and compiles that into your life. Like that's why this stuff is so powerful. And I think people just miss that boat where it's like it's not a small window. Like it, if you just look at the time you've probably been around Dave, right, of how much he's grown, much less where he came from, right? Like it makes a lot of stuff count. And it's like, man, like just to appreciate that level of dedication, most don't comprehend.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been crazy to see. Even, I mean, how long have we been training together? It's been,
Almost 2 years, I think.
yeah,
Dude, I
yeah,
think it'll be 2 years in June.
okay, yeah,
And
it's
it
been
feels like it's been like somehow has been like 5 sessions, but also like a couple thousand.
right. No, yeah, no, it's been absolutely insane to see the growth, and it's like there's not a day that goes by that he's not hitting PRs and pushing, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Let me ask you guys this: like, how often do people ask to join you? And then what do you guys usually say to them to train?
I don't honestly, we haven't been asked too often now, but I mean, there's every once in a while we'll get someone. I know Brad joined us, and that was actually a blast. That was a minute ago, though. Brad
Nice.
just happens to be the world's busiest person,
Yeah.
and but that was absolutely a blast because we all three of us definitely get that. Um, we trained with that William kid. We trained legs with him, and that was fun. Uh, that was I honestly thought that was probably like an eye-opening thing because I think we got done with leg extensions, so it was leg curls, leg extensions, that order. And he was like, I've never had a pump this good in my life. We're
Right.
like, just wait.
This is not even the warm up.
I remember we had that kid just recently. It was the kid that was like new to our gym, and he was asking what our schedule is and stuff, and he was like trying to adjust his schedule to come at the same time as us, and it's like, oh man, like how do you put this nicely? Like it's hard to, it's like, dude, I mean, we just met you literally 2 seconds ago, and you can't expect to come train with us every day. It's like, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to see because you see people that want to learn and want to train hard, but you
Yeah.
gotta find the right people to do it with, right? You can't take a step back to make your session a coaching session. So
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, right? Is like I'm sure you guys are the same way. I don't mind like if I see you doing something like I can fix really quick, but I'm not there to teach you how to hack squat. Like
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm simply there to make you get those reps that fucking are miserable. Like,
right.
and that's singularly it. Like, and I think sadly some people are like, oh man, like I'm gonna get with those guys and I really want to learn and I want to see like the other side of training that everyone's at on this side of the wall. And it's like, okay, cool, but you skipped like 3 other mountaintops. Like you aren't even sniffing what we need out of you. And I mean, I'm sure you guys are the same way. Like, don't mind teaching that, but not when I'm trying to get after it, especially in a pro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Especially yeah.
Yeah.
Because those sessions count. Like those matter, right? And
Yeah.
it's an interesting rotation. Like, I'm sure you guys have a rhythm of who goes first, who goes second. Like you have a feel for like when to load weight, when not, when someone he needs a spot, right? Like how much you
Yeah.
need. You need to kick up with the dumbbells. I know for you need to fucking touch them. Like like little nuanced things that
Yeah.
a new person like it's a learning curve. Like you got to know, like, do you want to be yelled at the whole time? Do you want me to like say nasty shit in your ear? Do you want me to just remind you why you're here? Or you just need to shut the fuck up and like let you do your thing? Like, it's a lot of it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing I think about often. Like, I honestly like almost every session I think about like how easy it is for me and Dave to like to know when each of us need a spot, and we have that rhythm. Like, I mean, Dave always goes first, but I would say that's more because I need something to chase. So right now I need that push. I like, hey Dave, you go first because you're gonna set the weight, and then I'm just gonna try to keep up with you because I need that right now. So it's so yeah, we definitely have
Yeah.
that rhythm, and yeah, knowing. I just feel like it's clicked like it clicks like perfectly. I feel like we do well in reading each other and knowing when they need that spot and when they need that push, and I don't know, it's been awesome. I feel like it's clicked really well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm the
Definitely.
same way. Like I always have when him and I train, I always have to go first. The only person I've ever trained second to is John Meadows. And like I have to yield to that, right? Like I'm not gonna say, hey man, I gotta go first. So yeah, I mean
Yeah, well, it's also fun too, because like when I come train with Chris, it's the same thing what Zach just said.
right.
Chris is gonna do this, and I'm gonna try to beat him.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
If I can't beat him, I'm matching it.
Yes.
Like,
It's really interesting. Right before him and I finished the last set of True Squat, we had the newbie on. And the guy who's running the machine was like him and his wife were there. And he to this day will say, man, he said, you finished that set and it was awful. And like, I looked at him dead in the eyes, like, you need to make me look like a fucking bitch and I expect more. And he was like, that was terrifying. Well, that's what I needed out of him in that moment. Like, I wanted him to beat me. Like, and God, I'm sure you remember that set. It was absolute torture.
yeah,
But in a good way. So,
yeah.
because we went to a football game later that night and I could barely walk up the stadium stairs to my legs like fuck you, they don't want to work. So yeah. I mean, I think so many people just don't appreciate like the true power of a good training partner. And,
Yeah,
I know you guys train are fortunate enough to train in a gym that caters to bodybuilders like I am. And I mean, I'm sure you still have people staring at you like you're fucking gorillas in there, I'm sure, who are newer to it.
yeah. The nice thing about Butler is there is a bunch of good bodybuilders there,
Yeah,
which
Yeah.
makes that a little bit easier for sure.
right. Yeah. I mean, I think when
Versus like,
oh, go ahead.
oh man, we went to the American Fork Vasa,
Uh-huh.
which is a commercial gym here, like was maybe 2 months ago,
Mm.
and that Zach Holt, what was that? Did you do 5 or 6 plates?
I think it was 5. Yeah.
Yeah, 5 plate, just the 5 plate deadlift, but like the entire room went quiet.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a church in there. Then I have Dave over there smacking my back and yelling, and yeah, and everyone's like, "What the fuck is
Like, I'm
going
just gonna watch
on?"
this dude be a human forklift for a minute. Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So like,
yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, because I mean, you think about like most people aren't used to seeing someone just move weight like that, and not for reps, right?
Yeah.
Like someone might go there and pull that for a single with like a sumo stance, maybe.
Mhm.
But to pull that like a bodybuilder and hit reps with it is way different, especially when you're owning the weight. So,
Yeah,
Zach,
yeah.
what's it been like for you to watch Dave grow as much as he had?
dude, it's like so inspiring. Like I've never known anyone that like can as dedicated. Like I mean I would imagine that Dave never. I mean, not I don't imagine. I know Dave never skips meals, never skips training. Like never have I met anyone that like dialed in. I mean, there's nothing. I don't know what he like. I don't know much about like what he likes to do in his personal time and stuff. But I know that bodybuilding is first, and I know that like there's nothing that'll take him away from the being that dialed in and focused, and it's honestly been crazy to see like how fast he progresses, and like I said, there's not from month to month, there's always progression in weights, and um yeah, there's not a session that goes by that there's not, whether it's weight, rep, tempo, some form of progression. There's always every session improvement. So it's been really inspiring to see.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why him and I clicked so well from the beginning is it was just like he just like clockwork. All meals hit, training's better. And then I mean it was like small little sentences back, like tell me what to do, I'll do it. Okay, cool, got it. And then 3 years in, I was like, oh hell yeah, he's like he's clipping along, but we need another 3 years. And I was like, just being able to watch him from a coaching perspective, and then like once we actually spent time together in person, it just confirmed to me like what I could see through the computer, which was he doesn't miss meals, he doesn't fuck around in the gym. Like, not that I suspected that, but it's nice to see that with my own eyes. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause some people can fake that
Yeah.
shit. He could have shot
Yeah.
like 2 grams of gear behind my back and been like, oh, that's why he's growing, right?
Right.
Because I've had motherfuckers do that.
Yeah.
So like it was nice to see that in person the first time he came in. Like again, every time him and I've traveled together, I went to shows with him. It's like it's been so refreshing for me because you know the percentage of clientele for me that does that and is that dialed in and still has a passion to like wake up and do this shit because he loves it is just so few and far between, which is cool because that is always aligned with my mindset. And that's why I think he continues to grow so well. It's like,
Right.
yeah,
It's like the easiest client to coach, I'm sure.
yeah, yep. I just have to pay
Yeah.
attention. Literally, that's it. As long as I
Yeah.
pay attention, even motherfucker's gonna grow. Like,
Yeah, it's like
so
the smallest tweaks and adjustments. Like I know Dave, when when did you start prep? Did you start like 16 weeks out or something like that? Or
Yeah, roughly.
you just all you have to do is say the word prep and his body's like, okay, I'm gonna get lean now. It's like fuck, dude. It's like I've never met anyone that responds so quickly.
I mean, and what's wild too is like I had his food so high in the all season, and then he was still like in a really good body composition. I mean, his fucking glutes were still like cornered and like lower strided.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so now I'm going to pull back. And we're only at 600 grams of carbs to start his prep, and he's dropping body fat at 2 pounds a week. It's like, yeah, okay, we're in a good spot.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. One of the coolest things I think he's ever told me, I can't remember if this was on camera or off, but Dave, I remember you telling me that your girlfriend was like, hey, did you ask Zach about how his day was? And you're like, we don't talk about that shit. We're there to train.
It comes up after.
Right.
That was a
Like,
fun one for her to process. I was like, well, I know he's doing pretty decent. I've never been too like it's usually after, like we'll get done and be like, you had a good day today? We're like, yeah, I could have a good day at work, or random things that are coming up we'll talk about. But yeah, like 99% of the time it's what's happening with trading.
Right. Yeah.
like literally every day it's like the same. Like we show up to the gym, he goes, how you feeling? Good. How are you feeling? Good. All right, let's go.
Right.
It's like, yeah, just make sure that your bodies feel okay, then we get started. And there's between sets and stuff, there's really not much said until the end. So I think that's this speaks volumes for a good trading partner as well. When that during that hour and a half, I mean, you gotta be dialed in, and especially on those hard days, the leg days, back days and stuff. I mean, you kind of got to mentally prepare yourself for those days sometimes. And I mean, I know for me, if I need to know that like tomorrow's leg day, because I'm gonna be thinking about it the whole fucking day leading up to that session. Because
Yeah.
if I just show up to the gym and be like, hey Dave, what day is it? Legs, I'm like, oh fuck me, dude, I was not ready for that. It's like,
Yeah.
so yeah, you gotta know those ones in advance. So yeah, you gotta be focused.
What's funny is there was a couple of things. Two things I want to touch on here is he told me he doesn't tell you the workouts when they're new. When I write them for him, he's like, I just tell him it's back and he shows up.
That's it. Yep. I was like, hey Dave, all right, what's next?
Right, right. And then he was also you just told me that recent story about how y'all got to the gym. I think you're supposed to train back, and you're like, "Fuck this, let's do legs." And he was like, it ended up being a good session, but I don't know if Zach was mentally prepared enough for it.
Yeah, we started. I think we started on the pullover machine, and we did like one or two feeder sets, and we're like, and Dave turns to me, he's like, "How your legs feel?" I'm like, "They're all right." He's like, "Want to do legs instead?" I was like, "Fuck it." I was like, let's do it."
Yeah, that was an interesting because we both weren't prepared for that, but it was like, all right, cool, well, we're here, we're gonna do it.
I mean, sometimes that's the best way, right? It's just like total blind in the dark, just fuck it, like zero plan, just go after it, right? Like
Yeah.
Because when he comes in, like that's roughly our plan is, let's say we're gonna train legs. I'm like, we'll do some leg curls, some adductors, leg press, and then we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
And it's always gonna go somewhere just nasty by the end. So
And that's honestly how I've I mean, when I first started training with my old coach, we used to do a lot of the John Meadows plans and stuff.
oh
And
heck yeah.
so a lot of the stuff that you gave Dave is like familiar, like some of the movements and stuff from when I first started training, we would do a lot of that stuff.
Right.
But I mean, majority of my time bodybuilding, like the last probably 4 years before I met Dave, it was always like that. Like I'd go to the gym with no plan, and it was all based off feel, and I'd have my certain movements that I wanted to progress in and stuff. But most of the time, I mean, I was just like, okay, what I want to do next, and that's how I've kind of always trained. So it's been different, following like a plan for, I don't know how long we do each plan, 12, 16 weeks, whatever. And it's definitely been different and fun, and it's fun seeing the progression and stuff. But there's pros and cons to each. I mean, I like doing both. So sometimes flipping back and forth is nice.
I think all the scientists are like flipping over in the grave hearing you say that, right? They're like, he didn't have a plan and he finished sixth at USA's. What the fuck?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Honestly, I really like, yeah, like I said, I like both ways. I've
Right.
done
Yeah.
both ways. I've gone back and forth. Sometimes you're just feeling and going by how you feel for so long. You're like, hey, now a plan sounds nice, and I want to follow a plan for a while. And then after doing training programs for a year, you're like, okay, I kind of just want to go do the lifts that I like to do. And yeah, both ways can be fun.
That, and what
Yeah.
you just said to me is huge, right? Going by feel and having fun, like that's training to me. And
Right.
yeah, I've done all 39 John's programs, which, as you know, week to week changes. I mean, there's some like constants, right? Like that, you're always for legs, for example, you're going to leg curl, you're going to squat, you're going to leg press for the most part. But the variance there, and then I've done things like I've had him do now where it's like, hey, we're going to follow a program, we're going to try to progress movements. When things get burnt out or stale, we're going to change it. Or when your
Mhm.
body stops growing, or for him, a lot of times it's like where I notice, like he'll start sending me update photos and be like, hey, cool, your back's come up. Let's switch that emphasis to arms, or let's switch the. For the longest time, I was trying to put a damn chest on him, and then now that's not a weakness anymore.
Right.
It's just one of those things. Like I think a plan or not a plan, to me, it doesn't matter as long as you're in there taking sets to the end. That's to me what always the magic is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think having fun and really enjoying the training is huge. So, I mean, I don't get burned out of training. I love going to the gym, and I mean, there's times where I feel tired and I'm like, I don't really want to go today. But once I'm there, that
Yep.
changes. Like once you do that first set, you're like, okay, I want to fucking do this. This is fun. Like this is what I enjoy. It's not like a chore to go to the gym. It's having fun with it is, and having and it goes back to having a good training partner. Having a good training partner makes or breaks your training session. So you don't want to go to the gym feeling like you need to teach, or feeling like you need to, like your training partner can't keep up or whatever. So having fun is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you're the same way, Dave, right? Like there may be a day where you just might be not feel like quite on top of it, and he comes in there ready to rip the world apart, and you're like, I better get up to speed, damn it! Like
Yeah.
it's time.
That helps me so goddamn much all the time. There's times like I if like Zach said, I fucking love training. Like that's obviously apparent. But there's definitely days where like I've talked to 300 people that day about the same thing and I'm just mentally gone,
Yes.
you know? And then getting to the gym, if I was by myself, like I'm already partially gone. Like it's just there's gonna be that decline. But then like I have to like I'm not gonna let myself slip because I feel like shit. That's kind of how I process a lot of things is like, well, he's here. I need to do my best.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We all do that. And that just forces me to, be a little bit better than what I was okay with being, which in the long term really makes both of us better,
Yeah.
but it doesn't allow for the days of like when you get in there and you're like, all right, this doesn't feel good. And like you have two options on that. When it doesn't feel good, you either need to pivot and figure out what's going on there or kind of push through,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of times where like, all right, cool shit, all of this feels heavy. It's like, am I just gonna decide it's heavy and do less weight, or am I just gonna like figure it out? Like, I can't tell you how many times I picked up the 150s, and like, there's probably like 3 workouts where they didn't feel like they were heavy.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you kind of just you're gonna have to like, because like, especially deep in the prep, like you're gonna be like, if you're like, oh man, these don't, you have your line of excuses come up, and you're like, oh well, I guess I should do the 80s. It's like, we all know the outcome of this,
Right. Yep.
right? This is why you're flat and watery on stage, and you can't get the last bit of fat off, is because you decided to fuck around and be a pussy.
Right.
Mhm.
You know, it's pretty simple. Versus like, all right, cool. This is heavy. My body hates this right now, but it's capable of doing it, and I'm gonna do my best.
Yep.
Like, if you have, everything happened, you got 8 reps last week, and you get 8 reps this week in a prep, that's magical.
All agreed.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a great fucking week.
Yep.
It's the weeks where you get 8 reps the week before, and then you decide to do less reps and less weight to justify you being tired,
right,
where the progress is going to stall.
Right.
Yeah. And your training partner yelling at you, or in the maybe not in the same scenario. Like, if you're prepping together, it's probably you both feel some tired, but you have someone there. Yeah. The ability to prolong your discomfort just a smidge bit more is an invaluable tool. Because we all hold ourselves to a standard, but that somewhat deviates if you're not with someone who's going to hold you to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If you got a guide rail you're holding on to going down the stairs, you're not going anywhere.
Mm.
You're not going to fall. And that's the nicest part about having a training partner, is it's that mental guide handrail, to help you. Like, you still have to go up and down the fucking stairs. But like, if you trip and fuck up, like, they're there to help you out.
Yep. When I was younger and had no real life responsibilities, my training partner had 2 kids and a wife, and I would always tell myself, if he's leaving them to come train with me and make me better, the least I can do is the same thing for him, right? And it's very similar. Like, when I used to go train with John, I would always think, like, if we're going to do something crazy and stupid that was going to be miserable, I'm like, do you mean people would fucking kill to be in my space right now and to trade spots with me? Like, I better leave it all on that table, so he has no question in his mind, like, Chris deserves every second to be here. And that's why I think him and I always got along. Is he's like, you're just batshit crazy, man. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I told him the first time I went to Elite with him, I was like, the only way I'm fucking leaving here is in a damn body bag, man. Like, we gonna find a way to get through this shit. and I meant it. Like, I really believe Angela was scared that, like, I wasn't gonna come back. And I was like, no, I'm gonna make it back. I'm fucking 24. I'm not gonna die. But yeah, it's what you guys just described is like, that's the essence of what a true partner, where you almost feel like you owe them and they owe you. It's like, we're here for a mutual reason. And it's a different dynamic, right? When you're both prepping, or when one's in the off season and one's in prep. Like, I haven't figured out what combination I like the best. I think I like it best when I'm in prep and my buddy's in the off season, and that way he's strong and it forces me to, like, not take any weight off the bar or actually beat numbers more aggressively than I would normally try. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think honestly that my last prep going into USA's, that prep was different than all my other ones prior. And there were different supplements involved. There was a lot of different variables. Training was a lot harder that year, different supplements. But I think keeping up with the other 2 that were in the off season, and like Dave said, making sure that strength doesn't decline because you're tired.
Mhm.
I think that was the biggest variable. Like, that prep was so much different. Like, in past preps before that, my weight would drop every week. And then that prep, because I was trying to keep up with them and because I didn't let being tired use that as an excuse, I was like, my weight went from, I was like 265, went down to 235. And I just stayed there for like the last 8 weeks of prep, and then just stayed am I training? I was hitting PRs like Dave does now. I mean, that prep was so much different than anyone's prior, and I think that's huge. And it's funny, that how you were saying that you feel like you owe your training partner and leaving the family. It's like I literally had this conversation with my wife like last week
Mhm.
because we had the baby 2 weeks ago,
Right,
and I took like a week off training, and then I was like, hey Dave, it's time. I'm ready to, like, I can come back now.
right.
And I went back for like one day, and then the next day my wife's like, oh, I need you. Like, can you just not go today? I'm like, babe, listen, Dave's in prep. I was like, I can't do this to him. Like, you know how much I hate training alone when I'm in prep. I'm like, I'm going today because I owe him that. So yeah, it's definitely a mutual thing there, and having that extra push in prep is huge.
Mhm.
And that's when we were in Swiss, like when him and I trained together, I was in pretty deep at the suck at that point, and you didn't give a fuck, and I didn't expect you to. Like I was like, we're going to train today. I don't care how
Yeah.
miserable it is. Like, because there was a moment we were doing those dumbbell press where my shoulder kind of felt a little wonky, and like you rolled through those 130s or 120s. I can't remember how much it was, and I was like, fuck, okay, this didn't feel bad. And then you're like, you're gonna get the 150s, right? I'm like, yeah, we're gonna do it. I don't care. We're gonna pick them up and find it out. That was a
Yeah.
that was those 2 or 3 sessions we had there, and then are always will always be special to me because anytime I go back to Ohio and get in the same gyms that I used to train at when I was with John, and just being around Dave, Tate, and that whole group. I mean, I'm sure you remember that way with at Elite. It was just so electric, that atmosphere in there. I think we were the only bodybuilders in the gym that day.
Mhm.
It's impossible not to like want to rip the world apart in that gym when you're like, man,
Yeah.
like we're one of what 50 people who are solely invited here to come train. Like, let's go tear this motherfucker up today. I don't care what I feel like or how little carbs I've had.
Yeah. I mean, just that gets me a lot of times is like the opportunity we have to do this, you know, like the and like how many times like Zach tells me he had an interesting day, or he's training legs with me before he goes to work. It's like, well, I can't half-ass this, you know.
Yeah. I
I'll,
mean,
I'll tell
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'll tell you what, those days those days are the worst.
Oh, I'm
Having
sure.
training legs at training legs at 5:30, then having to go straight to work and work out. Dude, I just want to sleep after we train legs. Like, that's what people don't realize, dude. I mean, like I said before, you mentally preparing for leg day. I mean, I get anxiety driving to the gym during leg day, and then after leg day, all you want to do is go fucking take a nap. It's like those days take everything out of you.
Yeah, because I mean, him and I were just talking about that 100 rep set of leg press I had y'all do.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Again, I think I told him, like, I've only given that to one other person, because I just don't think most people mentally could even comprehend what's about to happen over the course of the next 8 to 10 minutes. And yeah, that was a good day. That's a good session. And I mean,
So,
the thing is, I mean, I think if we all sit down and showed someone like the sessions I wrote on paper, and then you're like, it's all about application, that kind of just goes over like, this is all you're going to do today. Yeah, this is all we're going to need today.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Just
everything looks easy on paper.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think I've laughed about that way too many times because it's just the I mean, it's one of those things nowadays I feel like is lost because people talk about genetics all the time. They talk about, you know, superior supplements or better genetics or all these other factors. And it's like, y'all realize what effort doesn't matter. Like the effort you like your own personal effort's not a genetic, just like that's not a generic trait. You don't just like didn't wake up with that. Like that's your choice that day. And like everybody's like, there's a huge training what reflects that. Like, how many people do you see what are on their phones while they're fucking lifting? Like, I've seen people do leg extensions, like they're top, like they do like 6 sets of leg extensions, and 3 of them are sending a text while they're doing it, and it's like, and then they look over at people who train hard and they're like, supplements. It's like, um, Nope. My like legit like we that last leg session we did, we had that where you had us do the ISO holds
Yes, yes.
on leg extensions.
Yep.
We got done with that, and I was like, my fucking forearms hurt
From
because I
swinging
was
that
pulling
handle.
myself down in that machine so hard on that last set.
Right.
Like I had like a forearm part. My legs fucking hurt. By the way, those 5-second ISO holds are just mean.
Oh, they're
Like,
terrible. Yeah, it's a long 5 seconds.
yeah, but you're not getting that. Like the intensity and effort is 100% your choice.
Yep.
And like that's the fun thing about that is it's a learned skill,
Yes.
so like, but if you never choose to have the effort, how are you going to learn?
Correct. Yep. Yep. I mean, I think I've shared this story with you, but I don't know if I've said it on the podcast before. One of my older, he was a young kid that wanted to train with me. So he joined me for legs one day and we're doing leg curls. And he looked at me and he was like, Chris, how many more sets of leg curls we're going to do? And I'm like, I'm still waiting for you to do one, man. And he swears that forever changed his training life because he just didn't know. I was like, all right, you put the weight down when shit starts to get hard and starts to work. And until you like visibly go through that and experience it, I don't know if you can replicate that. And I haven't figured that out yet. Like, can it be taught? I think so, if you're willing to accept it and know that, like, because sadly, so many people are like, oh, I train hard. And it's like, okay, cool. Yeah. You train hard for the group you're in. Uh, let's show you what crazy people do and then like what the elite level do. Like, and that's all as you said, three very different skills.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I always chuckle. Like when you come in and train at my home gym, people are always like, man, you two are crazy. And I'm like, just a Tuesday, same shit.
Right.
We just have a camera on us today. No different, no different. Hell yeah. I'm trying to think. Do you have anything you want to talk about with him, Dave, on camera?
Good question. Can't really think of anything right just off the top of my head, but I mean, honestly, it's like that kind of. It's one of those. I haven't found a training partner exactly like Zach, probably because there's not many like him in reality.
Right. Yeah.
But I can't tell you how many people like it would want to come in and probably both of us throw up on leg days. It's not every time, but it happens.
Right.
But how many people legitimately want to subject themselves to something painful like that, and then be like, "Cool, when's the next leg day?"
Yep.
Or what time tomorrow?
Yep.
And I mean, it speaks for itself.
Yeah. I think I've said that to you before, right? Like, I think there's a decent amount of people who could probably do a session or two with you guys, but to do it month on end is a very different ask, like because I think so many people they could gear up for one session, but just the relentless battery of like, oh shit, like this is what I'm expected to do every week, 4 to 5 times a week. Yeah. And then now we need to do this for 3 years. And every day we're trying to make things worse than it was the previous. Yeah. That's that like relentless, it's like hammer nailing that fucking nail over and over again. I think people don't grasp fully until they're in that. And then they're probably gonna be like, fuck this shit. Like, I thought you were just trying to bury me for one day. No, this is a normal Thursday. Yeah. Every day, man. Every fucking day. I don't care if it's arms. It's gonna be miserable.
So I always laugh about this because she coaches now, but one back this was 4 years ago now. But I was training with this guy named John, and he was a heavyweight competitor at the time, and I was still in the light heavies. And his girlfriend wanted to join us, so she joins us for a leg day. And like, I think it was after leg press, was like, okay, we're gonna go do hack squats. She looked at us and she's like, "Am I being hazed?"
Right, yeah.
I was like, "No, no, this is a normal leg day."
There's legit like some of those last sessions we've done like lately with the blood flow restriction and those ISO holds and stuff. where we do a hamstring curl, a leg extension, and adductors. By the time we do those three like isolated movements, I'm fucked, dude. Like
Yeah.
the thought of going into our hard movements after that, like you go into the leg press, hack squat after doing those three, and our legs are already so fucking pumped. It's like you can feel the pressure going down on that hack squat. Like it just that's what people can't fathom is like by the time we're done with like what those warm up movements,
Yeah.
not really warm ups,
Yeah.
but before you get to the compound movements, we're already fucked. Like going into those compound movements and which I think is a good thing. I mean, because if we started with those compound movements, I mean, one, we'd be beating up our bodies a lot more, doing a lot more weight, which has its time and place. It's fun to do those things first sometimes. But if you do, I mean, if you do that every time, I think our joints would be so fucked. But yeah, going in just after a set of leg extensions with those ISO holds, I mean, going into our first set of a hard movement, I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, like we could go home right now. Like most people would go home after what we just did.
Yeah.
I had a guy start to train with me, and the first time we did legs together, we did exactly what you said. It was leg curl, adductor, leg extension, and he shook my hand. He goes, "Man, that's the best leg day I've ever had. I'll see you next week." And I was like, "Oh, no, 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 we got a leg press and hack squad." And he was like, "What?" I was like, "You're never probably gonna lunge." And he's like, "Fuck." I'm like, "You're gonna get ready, man. This is where the fun begins."
He just decided it was over. He's like, "Oh, good job. I'm out of here."
I will give that kid credit. He threw up for 3 months straight on every Thursday and came back for more. So,
Yeah.
like, he was a Olympic level gymnast, so he was used to torture, but like his lower body wasn't as developed. His upper body was blown the fuck out. He had what I would consider like, I think anyone would say probably good legs, but compared to his upper body, they were behind. So, like, it took him literally 3 months to get to where his legs were used to the battery of what I have you guys do now. And it was he would always talk about that. He's like, Jesus Christ. Like the first session I had with him, I thought we were done after 3 movements. And he's like, I was pumped. Nope. Fetal position is gonna be soon pretty quick.
Yeah, that's another thing I've learned with how you said like Dave will just tell me like, hey, tomorrow's legs, tomorrow's back, and I don't know what you have planned for him. I've learned not to expect like a certain amount of movements. Like we'll do leg extension, adductors, hamstring curl, hack squat, and instead of saying, "Are we done? Are we done? Are we done?" I'll just be like, "Hey, what's next? What's next?" Because I just assume that something else is coming. I'm not going to assume that we're done because who knows what's next.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I will always go back to him and I's first leg day together. Like we had what I think most would consider an exceptional day, and then we went outside and pulled the prowler and did chain lunges until he could barely like even function. And
Mhm.
like that was such a good day. Like Chad still talks to me. That's my brother who films all my workouts. He's always like he always talks about that still to this day. He was like, I thought Chris was gonna have to carry Dave to his truck afterwards. And I was like, yeah, I said that motherfucker wasn't gonna stop until he finished. I knew that. He might have blacked out, but he's gonna get to the end. So
That's awesome.
yeah, that was definitely a good day.
When are you going to come to Utah?
I, yeah, I know. We had it on schedule. He was gonna have a run that was like right out near you guys. So I was gonna
Yeah.
bring him out there and train, and he flaked on me on the end because he had to change jobs, and it was a long story. He ended up getting a divorce, and yeah. So, but yeah, I definitely need to get out there uh and train with you guys. That gym looks great, and I mean y'all sessions always look incredible. So that'd be a blast.
Yeah, it'd be
Yeah, it would be
awesome.
fun.
Yeah, walk away either grown or fucked up, one of the two, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think the first time after you left, that's what I said. I was like, if we train together all the time, either something would be blown off the bone for me or I'd be 20 pounds heavier. So
Yeah.
one of the two. Because I mean,
Yeah.
it's always one of the things like, I don't know how it is for you, but for me, like I have to be really cognizant on back movements and be like put a lot of thought into them. But when he gets in here, man, like we just fucking rip weight and it's fun. Which is a blast for me. I mean, like I remember at post show North Americans, like he was throwing 150-pound dumbbells a day after he got off stage after 2 meals. And
Yeah.
my stupid ass wasn't holding him back. I like completely tapped out of like the coach mode and I was like just having fun. And then I looked over, motherfucker's about ready to pass out. And I'm like, I think you're done. He's like, yeah, I think I'm done too.
Yeah, that was a pretty funny one. I was like, oh yeah, that I feel that one a little bit.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm gonna do 2 more exercises. You just chill out for a minute. So yeah, that was a good
Yeah,
one.
we have that conversation often too. I mean, because there's so many people you see nowadays, especially that think that everything has to be perfect form and connection and all that. And we say that so often. I mean, that's what I mean, that's what a back off set's for,
Right.
if that. I mean, even some back off sets are grip and rip. I mean,
Yep.
but everything has its time and place. I mean, there's at least 2 movements every session, at least 2 sets every session where it's just grip and rip. Like I mean, those first 8 reps might be pretty fucking good. But I mean, to really get that failure, I mean, you have to grip and rip, and that's what makes it fun too. I mean, if I couldn't imagine training every session with perfect form and just going to where that muscle stops and then being done. I mean, there's a time to incorporate other muscles and just fucking have fun with it too. It'd be extremely boring to be really scientific every session.
Agreed. I don't know if
Yeah.
you ever did he ever do that back off I gave you with dumbbell rows where it was like step forward for perfect reps and then you just like flip your feet and just rip weight until you can't move it?
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, we've done that one.
Okay. Oh yeah. That's one of my
Yeah,
favorites. So it's like you be cute until you hit failure, and then you switch your stance and just rip that shit until your back wants to bust off the bone. Like, yeah. So it's like best of both worlds in my opinion. So I
yeah,
mean, that's what training I think will always be to me. Maybe I grew up watching like too many Branch Warren videos and Jay and Ronnie, but like I don't know, it's something about just working your damn ass off. It puts on muscle tissue, and for some reason, people have forgotten that today.
Yeah.
yeah. I
So I
mean,
sound like an old
that's
dinosaur when I say
oh,
that, but
yeah, yeah, definitely right. It's one of those funny things. It's like people get so lost up in, picking up the pennies, they'll step over the dollars,
Mhm.
and it's like some things I've never seen. Right, I've never seen someone who can deadlift 405 for more than 10, who has an unimpressive back or hamstrings.
Yep.
Right? It's like, all right, cool. Well, that's pretty fucking easy. Like to not like in the concept of things, right? It's like to get there, you need to be doing that kind of stuff. Or
Mhm.
like someone who's incline barbell 315 for more than 5.
Right.
It's like they probably have pretty developed upper body.
Yep.
It's like we don't always need to have these like, okay, cool, like his clavicle length is this long and the rotation of the sun and the axis of the moon is going to rotate the tides, so we're going to do 4 less reps today because of the IR of 4.
Right. Yeah.
Like, just pick it up and put it down until you can't do it anymore. Is sometimes lost, and like I'm not saying there's no need for the in between, but like the it's just like I do the construction references way too many times, I swear to God. But like if I'm gonna tear down or build up a house, there's a time and place where I'm gonna use a sledgehammer, and there's a time and place I'm gonna use, a drywall putty knife.
Yep.
Like I'm not gonna use a drywall putty knife to tear down a fucking wall.
Yep.
And that's what so many kids are trying to do these days. They're like, I'm doing my, tempo isolated lat pull down at the specific angle here. It's like, well, you probably just need to, get better at pull-ups.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's
You
really
know,
interesting, right? It's like that group of people have all these theories. And that's something I was telling Danny about yesterday. I was like, they'll talk to you about growing muscle and shit. And I'm like, those motherfuckers have never had 150 or more pound dumbbells sitting on their lap with 150 grams of carbs in their system and sit back with them things over your face. Like, that's a whole other level of fucked up. Like when your joints are really dry and you're sitting back with a heavy weight over your face and it's gonna bust your teeth in if you miss. Like, that's a whole nother level that you can theorize, but until you do it, like I just need you to sit there and shut the fuck up and get better. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like the idea of you sitting back with 180-pound dumbbells and rolling those things with that much precision, they can't comprehend. I don't think. Maybe they can.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show why we just spent an hour talking just about training. Like I think you guys have talked about this before. Diet is definitely, everyone says diet is the most important thing, and I would disagree. Diet is huge, obviously. Diet, supplements, that side of thing is huge. But if you don't have that training there, I mean, how many times do we have people come up to us like, dude, I've tried everything. I eat everything. I eat so much, blah blah blah. It's like I can't seem to gain weight. It's like, well, start with the foundation first and learn how to train. And I mean, look, I just had, I mean, I admitted my diet's been shit the last little while, and supplements have not been there at all. Um, but just knowing how to push myself to that level and keep up with Dave and try to train. I mean, I mean, I've lost size, yeah, but how much would I have lost if I didn't have that foundation and know how to get to that place? Training just can't be replaced. I mean, enjoying it and knowing how to get there is the biggest piece of the puzzle.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's what most of that group failed to realize, right? Is everything you just described. Like your muscle's going to stick around because you're giving it a reason to,
Mhm.
like every other day, every, 2 days on, 1 day off, however you look at it, I'm going to get subjected to absolute punishment. And if I need to do that, I need to keep this muscle. So it's not going to melt it away. Like,
Yep.
and that's just the evolution of a body. If you think about it, like that's what all we do, right? You go in the gym, you lift heavier, you get more reps. Okay, you grow with more food. Awesome.
Yeah.
Maintain. I mean, I watched John after when he was deep in retirement, he was maintaining muscle off of 2 meals a day and training his to take face off. Like, and when I say a meal, like they were not big, they were small. Look I feed bikini girls as much as he was eating. And
Yeah.
if you saw him, like he always joked, like he forgot shots more than he actually took them. So it's like it wasn't drugs, it wasn't a nutrition plan, it wasn't that he backed off of life and was just laying around wrestling all day. It was he continued to just train hard as he could with the pros that came in and trained with him. And guess what? That muscle didn't leave because it was earned from the time he was 13 to mid 40s.
Mhm.
And I mean, I think collectively amongst the three of us, I mean, if you put that much hard training in, like your body doesn't forget it. It's wasn't earned through a bottle or through a fucking food. It was earned through getting the most out of it in training. And I would believe that until I fucking die. But
Yeah.
yeah. Well, guys, I think that was an excellent podcast. We've been on for over an hour. Zach, thanks for joining us. We had a blast. As I said,
Yeah,
no schedule. I had no questions written down.
hey, but before we go, real quick, just out of my curiosity,
Yeah.
do you have plans for shows?
So I was gonna do North Americans this year or nationals, but what I think I'm gonna do instead was I'm kind of in a really good groove right now, and I don't want to fuck it up. And I have a lot of clients doing national shows, and I don't want to be like distracted, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so I think what I'm gonna do, I turned 40 in October, so I was gonna start with Team Universe in 2025.
it's awesome. That'd be
So
cool to
we'll see.
see.
If I can bring my fucking back up, I'll be in a good spot. So
That'd be awesome.
yeah, we'll see.
Very cool. Well, it was awesome to finally talk to you and get to know you a little bit.
Same, man.
Yeah.
Same. Thanks for sharing all that because I mean, I think the big takeaways there is find a good training partner and show up and be accountable for them. And if even if your food's not right, you can still hold on to muscle.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll have to get out to Utah and train with you guys. So
for sure.
Yeah.
see,
Maybe.
That would be a really fun day, actually.
yeah, yeah. I would just hope the altitude wouldn't kick me in the teeth too hard.
I'm gonna take it as a home court advantage.
Yeah, it's fucking bullshit. I'm gonna like the whole month. If once I get that schedule, the whole month I'm gonna train with one of those fucking oxygen deprivation masks on. Like fuck you guys. Yeah, I mean, 'cause I've trained in Denver multiple times, and
Yeah.
it wasn't horrendous, but it was definitely a
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah. We're about the same as Denver, I think is a little bit taller than us where we are at.
Okay,
So you'd be just fine.
yeah, like I remember
But
it being like I started and I was expecting it to be horrible, right? So I think my anticipation of it was like I was expecting really horrible. And I remember like getting mid-session and I'm like, oh no, I can definitely feel this. And maybe I built it up too much in my mind. But I'm sure it'll be because I'm sure what the gym y'all train at doesn't have air conditioning.
it does, it just doesn't work well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's kind of the way
it
Elite is right now.
yeah, it doesn't really feel like it does. They have some fans moving around the hot air, but
Yeah. The only, I think, proponent that would work in my favor is to be 3 people going. So maybe I get a little bit more rest period than if it was
Yeah.
just me and you. Because I like to fucking fly through that shit. So probably a little bit more than I should. So hell yeah. No, that'd
that'd
be
be a
fun.
good time.
Yeah, we'd have to do legs would have to be the first session, right?
Yeah.
There'd be no other
Sure.
way. It'd be one of those things where, like, in my mind, it's like we just grab a pair of 80-pound dumbbells at the end and see who can get the most steps for lunges and just be fucking miserable. Yeah, it sounds like an absolute blast. So
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
agreed. Agreed. See,
Yeah.
see who threw up the first. Be the test there. Oh yeah. All right, guys. For Chris, Zach, little Dave, we're out. Thanks.